Greetings. These notes are going to cover Unit 5 on the executive branch. I think this first part will cover the president and the vice president's duties. This will be a little shorter than most. I think this part of it's a little more straightforward than the next unit, so it'll be a little briefer. Okay. Uh, Reminder on setup. If you have the tab resized and you have the notes on one side and this on the other, and I suggest being on the one just to the left of the farthest one. When you hit tab resize, it will work pretty good, I think. To quickly do it, I like to set it at 90% so I can see it a little easier. I don't always include my person in here. I think every once in a while to see someone's real talking to you, it's a little bit helpful. All right, this is the president, the vice president. These are their duties. I'm going to go ahead and make it bigger in the beginning. We'll go through the first slide and then pause and take notes. Please don't go ahead because you missed stuff. All right, who do I recognize? George Washington. I think that's Jefferson, Madison. That means that must be Adams. I think that's Andrew Jackson. I think Martin Van Buren's the 8th. I think Lincoln might be the 16th. I think that's, I don't know, Cleveland, blah, blah, blah. I think I'm pretty sure that's McKinley. That one right there is Teddy. This one here is the rotund William Howard Taft. The intellectual Woodrow Wilson. I think it goes, I get better as I go on. Coolidge, Hoover. Wait, I'm forgetting one. Coolidge, Harding, Hoover. Hoover is before FDR. I think it goes Coolidge, Harding, Hoover. Then I'm pretty sure it might be Harding then Coolidge. I got them mixed up. Definitely Truman, Eisenhower, JFK, Lyndon Johnson, Nixon, Ford, Carter, Reagan, George Bush, Bill Clinton, George H.W. Bush, Barack Obama, Donald Trump, and if it went on, it would be Biden. All right. So, what are the president's roles and qualifications? What is the length of term, pay, and benefits of the president? Why is the 25th Amendment important? And what is the vice president's job? These are the big questions for this topic. Okay, what are the president's roles? There are nine major roles that a president must play. The president serves as chief of state, ceremonial head of state. It's my alarm to go home. Watch me ignore it and keep working. Ceremonial head of state. In the U.S., the president reigns and rules. As chief executive, they're given the executive power by Article 2 in domestic foreign affairs. The chief administrator, directive of the massive executive branch with 2.7 million employees and a large 2.5 trillion per year spent. Nine, because they play nine roles, hence the proliferation of the number nines on this slide. All right, now hit escape. If that doesn't work, go up, right click. Should work. There it goes. Sometimes it's a little slow on the uptake. That's okay, so am I. And I don't beat myself up too much. All right. Ceremonial head of state. Okay. Now I'm filling in the blanks. It's not a problem. Executive is another name for the whole branch under the president. That's in Article 2. So we're leaving Article 1 in the legislature, moving to Article 2 in the executive. Chief administrator is the director of the massive executive branch, 2.7 million employees, but it costs them $2.5 trillion. Ooh, that's a lot of zeros. All right, let's keep going. They also serve as chief diplomat. So they're making deals with foreign countries or upsetting foreign countries, as the case may be. They serve as commander in chief, via direct and immediate control over the armed forces, all of them. They can use executive actions on less than full scale war. Chief legislator, that's a role that they just took. I don't think it was part of the system. They were generally designed to veto. That was kind of it. But some powers have been passed to them through Congress. Chief economist, watch the nation's economy. This one is more of a 20th and 21st century view of the president. But the idea that they're supposed to act when there's problems financially has been accepted pretty universally lately. There are some non-constitutional roles as well. So remember, that's just seven. So we got eight and nine. They serve as chief of the party. They're accepted as the leader of his or her political party. So it's definitely created a divide in the Republican Party between the Trumps and the non-Trumps. They also serve as chief citizen, where they represent all the people, and they're sort of the moral leadership of the nation. All roles must be played together because the weakness in one of the roles may limit the effectiveness in another role. So they're not generally going to allow that. What do we got there in this visual? Oh, it's Jimmy Carter, an elder Jimmy Carter. I think this is H.W. Bush. I need to get a closer look. I'm going to tell you for certain. I think so. Oh, there's three formal qualifications as a citizen. You need to be a natural born citizen. And you need to be born as an American. You can be born abroad as long as you're born American, like being born in the Panama Canal zone, or you're the parents of America traveling. You're still qualified. You have to be 35 or older. The youngest president elected was Kennedy. The youngest one uh, that served was Teddy Roosevelt, who at 42 served after McKinley was assassinated. I think McKinley was only in office 9 days, and he was shot and killed in Buffalo at the World's Fair, I believe. Um, well, that's what happened. It's not more than I believe. I've read that. It's true. Hmm. Anything else to add there? Oh, I would say Biden's one of the older presidents. Reagan was a really old president. Trump was pretty old. I don't know exactly who was the oldest and youngest, but yeah. But our view of what's old has changed over time. More qualifications. They need to be resident in the U.S. for 14 years. I, but it can be non-consecutive, not to be in a row. Hoover and Eisenhower both spent many years outside of the U.S., but they're not barred because of that. And Eisenhower, for his part, he led the American forces in World War II, so he was kind of busy. Oh, let's go back. I think we should stop and take more notes. I was just going through them. Where did they off? Oh, we didn't do too bad. Just skipped one. All right, but let's go. Stop. I don't want to be going too fast. But it's nice because I don't make you write in too much. So you should generally just be following, right? 14 years, a resident. Terms of office and pay. Term of office for president is 4 years. At first, there was no limit to the terms for presidency, and then they saw FDR was being president too long, and then they passed what's known as the 22nd Amendment, 1952, limited it to 2 terms. Uh, to elected full terms. Critics suggest a single 6 year term to limit campaigning. I don't know. The pay and benefits are apparently $400,000 per year currently. Good money. But there's many athletes, businessmen that make a lot more than that. So it's not like they're uber rich, but they're also not. They're living pretty exotic and well life. Let's take a look at the picture some more. Where are we? Let's look at this a little more closely. Sorry, it's been a long day. Uh, anyway, they're 4 years, no limit to terms until 1952 because that was backlash for FDR. I think $400,000 would put you upper class, but they also get a $50,000 expense account at the White House staff, the Air Force Ones, staff, healthcare. But it's gone up as the years have gone on. At first, it was 25,000. About 100 years later, it was 50. Um, 75 years later, it's about 100. 1969, it was 200. Then it's 400,000 as of 2001. This is Air Force One helicopter landing on the lawn. There's usually someone to film that. I think it's kind of ghastly, but just in case there's an accident. Presidential succession. This means they're talking about who's going to be the next president. Originally, the Constitution did not fill the vacancy. They only transferred powers and duties to the vice president. In 1947, a law was passed known as the Presidential Succession Act. In 1792, it was going to be the president pro tem and the Speaker of the House after vice president. They established the succession order in this new 1947 law. Um, the official orders on the next slide. I think I'm seeing McKinley, Lincoln, Kennedy. I'm not sure what the third one is, frankly. But this is the order: Vice President, Speaker of the House, President Pro Tem, Senate, Secretary of State, Secretary Treasurer. Um, if you're in the top five, they sometimes run drills and they make sure they're prepared should there be some incident where there's an attack or something else traumatic happens or there's a major health issue. Let's go ahead and fill in the blanks for these few, and then we'll keep going. To Vice President. What else we got? Presidential Succession Act. Succession is the order. Right. Okay. Just a couple more slides here. Disability. The 25th Amendment, they were kind of concerned about what if the president becomes incapacitated, There was concern of what if there's a gap if a president is assassinated. This is partly because FDR died in office and Kennedy was assassinated in '63. Um, so generally, under the 25th Amendment, the vice president becomes president if they're incapacitated in any form or fashion. And they're too sick to serve. Okay. So the president will inform Congress occasionally if he or she is unable to carry out the job. I know she is optimistic, but I'm an optimistic person, so I'm writing that in too. There will be a she president in my lifetime. That would be good for the country. The vice president and the majority of the cabinet can get together and say the president's not okay. We got to get rid of him. This is kind of could be like a coup though, so it's a little dramatic. But if the president is in a coma, you got to do something. In the past, what they did was um, they would turn to either the vice president or they would turn to the first lady, like Edith Wilson. She stepped in when Woodrow Wilson had a stroke. Let's look at the cartoon. It's your office. They want to know if you can stay home a few more days. That's a joke. The president's disabled. Okay. There's only two constitutional duties for the president, vice president. They preside over the Senate to break ties, and they help decide about presidential disability. Let's just write that in real quick. So they're the tiebreaker people. But it's informal, but they're only a heartbeat from the presidency. There was a time when they thought making someone vice president was the way to get rid of them. That's what they thought they were doing to Theodore Roosevelt. But then McKinley dies 9 days in. Instead of getting rid of him, he gets the most powerful job on the planet. Also, politically, they use the president to balance ticket. Say like they might have one person from Texas and someone else from Massachusetts. That happened with Kennedy and Lyndon Johnson. Or if they got someone from the South, like Clinton, they might have someone else from the Northeast. Or they got Nixon from California. They'll have Ford from Michigan, that kind of thing. Yeah, that's how it works. Obama's Illinois. I think Biden was Maryland. But I don't know if that was more regional balance or more race balance, even though, I mean, I like to think that they weren't doing that, but I think they were doing that. Here you have uh, vice presidential candidates, I think. I think that's Sarah Palin, and possibly John McCain. You got Mitt Romney on there. I think he was a candidate. He didn't actually win. I think that's Ron Paul. Or you got Obama and Biden. All right. More notes on the vice president. Okay, again, you got Biden and Obama. And you got Nixon and Ford. VP has the same qualifications as president. The 25th Amendment provides for a process for replacing the vice president. The president can't fire the VP, but they can ignore him, not use him. Who's the current president and vice president? It's been Biden, Joseph Biden from, I believe, Maryland, and Kamala Harris from California. Uh, they've been president since January of 2021, so about 13 months as of this recording. So, what does that mean? Same vice qualifications president. Natural born citizen, 35 plus, 14 years a resident. All right. So, let's go back and fill this in. So, there is now a process for replacing the VP too. Should the VP become incapacitated, resign, um, be impeached, whatever. I think Agnew got impeached, and then Rockefeller ends up being the replacement VP. I'm not sure how that worked out constitutionally, but that's how it worked out politically. President can't fire. That's true. Couldn't write this one in. It's Biden, Harris, 18 months. The First Lady. First Lady is not a political office. It's been more like hostess duty, moral leader. Some first ladies have had more power than others. The most powerful is probably Eleanor Roosevelt, but not the only one that's powerful. Uh, Hillary Clinton almost turned being vice first lady into being president. So yeah, I think that's pretty powerful, and she's quite notable in her own right. Early days, the first lady was behind the scenes for advice, and often they would be in charge of decorating the White House, organizing social functions. There's a lot of social functions, and someone's got to take the leadership on that. And the president's usually busy. I wonder if there was a male vice president or a male first man. First man. I wonder if they would do the same kind of duties or they'd do something else. I don't know. If it was me, I'd go golfing more, but I don't think that's what you're supposed to do. Uh, anyway, today they're much more public, usually with social agendas of their own, and oftentimes political platforms of their own. Edith Wilson, as I mentioned earlier, after Woodrow had a stroke, there wasn't really a process for dealing with the incapacitated president. So she just kind of took the role of speaking for him. Eleanor Roosevelt, she became like FDR's eyes and ears. She kind of went all over the country, speaking on behalf and investigating matters for FDR and his administration. Michelle Obama, she had a lot of work with school lunch and nutrition, as well as exercise programs for kids. Uh, Melania Trump, she had this major anti-bullying agenda. I think that was pretty admirable. All right. I'm not going to write these, but you can put on the captions and listen carefully and pause it. What are the president's roles and qualifications? The president's roles and qualifications are he must be 35, must be a natural born citizen, and at least 14 years a resident. What is the length of term? President served for 4-year terms. The pay for president is $400,000. Benefits of the president: they get the Air Force One, they get a $50,000 budget, etc. I bet you they spend a lot of that money on clothes. They also get an expense account. Though that is the expense account. They get the White House and all the amenities. They get staff, health care. It's all taken care of. So they don't have much cost. So they can pocket a lot of that 400,000. Why is the 25th Amendment important? It gives us a process for if the president's incapacitated, has a stroke, has a mental issue, gets assassinated, but doesn't fully die. If they're incapacitated but still alive, what's the vice president's job? The main job is to be the tiebreaker in the Senate. What was the other one? Help decide on the presidential disability issue. But they're really trying to follow everything. So, in case the president is no longer able to serve, they're able to step in at least somewhat smoothly. All right, I'm going to just look at these pictures and then we'll call it a slideshow. So, I think that's enough for today. And my alarm meant I should have left campus about 10 minutes ago, but I think it's fine. Um, no one will usually get too mad at me. Okay, it's freezing now. Here you have Michelle Obama. You have Melania Trump. Yeah, I'm going to call that good on this lecture because things are freaking out. And I just hope this video got recorded